Get out of my house.
Where were you at?
Okay, here we go. This week, we're going to try something a little bit different. Normally, I come on here every week and I attempt to provide, helpful and worthwhile information and strategies to women who are struggling to either escape abuse or maybe a narcissistic relationship, or maybe even women who are struggling to move on with their lives after they've escaped abuse. We talk about trauma bonds, cycle of abuse, and what narcissism is, and how important no contact is, and just a bunch of other topics that are all related to abuse. But this week, I want to address not just the women that I normally talk to, but I want to talk to their families, their friends, their coworkers, and even their acquaintances. I want to talk to the people in their lives that maybe don't quite get what they're going through. Maybe they've never gone through it themselves. They've never known anybody else to go through it, and they struggle to understand. And so it became very apparent to me that today's video, this video, was very necessary when I had a 6-second clip of me being abused go viral. Now, this clip was a clip that I have posted many times before over the course of the last almost 4 years. But for whatever reason, this time hit, and I have almost 5.5 million views. But what I want to talk about is not necessarily the views. I want to talk about the comments. Now, this platform that it went viral on, I have about 85% of my followers are women, but for some reason, this video got kicked over to a different side. And I had countless men and a few women who felt like they knew the exact remedy needed for the decade of abuse that I had endured from this man. A 6-second clip was all they needed to quickly voice their very strong opinion about what I should have done in that exact moment with absolutely no context whatsoever. And so, if you are not one of the almost 5.5 million who have seen this video, here it is.
Get out of my house. Get out of my house. Where were you at?
Now, I had an array of really insane, idiotic, and ignorant comments. But in today's video, I want to address just the ones that pertain to this particular subject. Because see, apparently when I share footage of a serial abuser breaking into my house and attacking me while I lay in bed, many people, both men and women, they thought the smartest, most helpful, most emotionally intelligent thing to say would be, why didn't you just him? And other like comments. And my response to that would be, oh, I don't know, maybe because this isn't a Quentin Tarantino movie, it's my real life. I would guess that of the thousands of comments I received, those who are suggesting that I should have just simply fired at him have never actually been faced with a similar situation. So let's break it down. Let's break down just a few of the many reasons why my abuser either wasn't an option or was just a spectacularly bad idea. My hope here is to kind of unpack a little of the ignorance and maybe give you a little side of education about the subject as well. Okay, so let's start simple. I didn't him because I didn't own a gun. Revolutionary, I know. Why didn't I own a gun? Well, I have a laundry list of reasons why I didn't own a gun, but let's start with because I didn't grow up in a household where we had guns. They weren't a normal fixture in our home like I know they are for many people. The single mother that raised me didn't own one, use one, and quite honestly, ever really have a use for one. I wasn't raised around them. I wasn't trained to use them. And you know what's more dangerous than an abuser? A terrified, traumatized person with a gun and no training. Okay, this next reason is a little more difficult to explain to those who have never heard of or been a part of this psychological mindfuckery. Trauma bonds. This is a bond that is created when a victim feels bonded to the person that is actually bringing her harm. I know it's a difficult concept to accept and even more difficult to understand. But let me try. When someone abuses you for a decade, gaslights you, controls you, isolates you, scares you, then love bombs you, cries, begs, breaks you down, and builds you back up again, you're not just scared of them. You're also still connected to them. You're connected to them mentally, emotionally, and even chemically. It's like being tied to a ticking time bomb with a blindfold on. You're afraid for them, you're afraid of them, and somehow still you're afraid of what will happen if they leave. So no, in that moment, my instinct wasn't, let me him. It was, please don't let him kill me. Please don't let this be how I die. Okay, now let's address the law. I was not really well versed in the laws of my state at the time, but I did know that I had a lot of extenuating circumstances that would complicate me shooting my ex-boyfriend in the middle of my bedroom. I lived in California at the time. Getting access to a gun was not as easy as it is in the state that I ended up fleeing to. We don't exactly hand out guns at Starbucks in California. And while yes, California does allow for self-defense, it has to meet specific criteria. You must be in imminent danger, you must use reasonable force, you must prove that deadly force was your only option. Translation, if I shot him and he's not armed, or if they decide I could have locked a window or screamed louder or maybe just, I don't know, hugged it out, I could have been arrested. Not to mention that although this man had moved out of this home 10 months prior, his name was actually on the initial lease. He did not have possession of a key, which is why he entered the home through a window. So while you all are cheering on the vigilante justice in the comments, I'm thinking about jail time, PTSD, and being dragged through the legal system after surviving a decade of abuse. So no, I didn't shoot him. I was trying to stay alive without adding a murder charge to my trauma resume. But let's say I did shoot him. People imagine that would be the end for me, like a movie. He's gone, roll the credits, I walk off into the sunset. But real life here, that's not how it works. Because see, now I've shot the person I once loved, the person I shared history with. Now I'm dealing with blood and guilt and legal trauma and flashbacks and maybe even his family retaliating. And that sweet little cherry on top, a lifetime of second guessing whether I had to do it that way. Okay, reason number 5,378 why I didn't shoot him. Because I froze. It's called the trauma freeze response. Fight, flight, freeze. I wasn't ready for war. I was literally sleeping. I woke up to an abusive man trying to gain access to my home. I had no chance in fighting a man that was a second-degree black belt and trained to disarm other trained men with weapons. I didn't have the option to flee as he was entering from the only exit in the home. And so, no, I didn't jump into Rambo mode. I froze, which is a highly normal trauma response. So if you're asking why I didn't go full action hero mode, maybe ask why he thought he had the right to break in and attack me while I was in bed. The bottom line here is that I was trying to heal, not harden. I had already left him, or he had already left me, however you want to say it. He was already living with another source of supply for himself. I was already doing the hardest thing that you can do after a long-term abusive relationship, and that is trying to heal. I was trying to rebuild my nervous system. I was trying to believe I was allowed to feel safe. The last thing I wanted to do was become the kind of person who had to kill the person she once loved just to be left alone. That's not empowering. That's a tragedy. And so for those of you who are asking this question, this is what I can tell you. you're asking the wrong question. So let me flip the question back at everyone asking. Instead of asking, why didn't you shoot him? Maybe the better questions to be asking are questions like, why was he allowed to stalk and harass me for years with no consequence? Why did the system fail to protect me even after I left? Why are survivors expected to go to war just to get peace? Why do we blame the person being attacked for not fighting back violently enough, while the attacker walks around like nothing happened? Ask better questions, get better answers. This is real life. This isn't a movie. This isn't entertainment. This was my life. And like millions of survivors, I did what I had to do in the moment to survive. Not shoot, not kill, just survive. And guess what? It worked. I was able to leave without having a murder on my rap sheet. And now I'm telling my story not to defend ignorance, but to educate and to empower and to make damn sure other survivors know. You don't have to explain why you didn't go full Hollywood revenge mode. You just have to keep healing, and that is powerful enough. And for those who own guns, feel comfortable using them, are trained in drawing a weapon in stressful situations, and trust yourself not to hesitate, the more power to you. For me, that was not the case at that time. If you stayed till the end of this video, thank you. If you still think I should have shot him, or you want to criticize me for why I didn't shoot him, maybe this video isn't for you. But for the rest of us, we're not just healing, we're surviving, and we're keeping our humanity intact. Remember, I'm rooting for you.